usually with the box mac and cheese, you have the cheese powder and then you mix that with like milk and butter, right? For her, it's just a bunch of butter, like this much butter mixed with the cheese powder and no milk. So it's just butter cheese. It's like ridiculous. It just tastes like all butter, but I'm like, okay, fine, it's good. But
welcome to Band Together, a podcast and now visual podcast from the Family Crest.
So a video.
Yeah, so a video
by the Family Crest, I guess.
How are you guys?
You know, the same, I guess. Same as last time. Maybe, I don't know, more like hotter. Okay with it, I guess, even though COVID's getting worse now. So, you know.
Are you slightly more jacked?
Slightly more jacked? No. I'm not eating enough, so like my gains have kind of leveled out. I got to eat more, but it's hard.
It's crazy to me how the only it feels like no time has passed since we were on tour, but it also feels like it's been like years since we were last on tour.
Yeah.
Like in February.
Think about what you were doing in February. And then think about how long ago that feels like. It feels like about 2 years, maybe.
It's crazy. Like we said on the last podcast, but it's like thinking about the honeymoon and the tour and stuff, and the fact that like we could roam freely and walk around and do things with people around, and the crowds that were there in like Florence and things, and how that seems so far away and so weird now, and we have no idea when it's coming back.
Yes.
At this rate, not for a while.
At this rate, this year's over, I think.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
this year's done for. Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'm over 2020, to be honest.
I am over
this year's
2020.
been just remarkably shitty.
The only good thing about 2020, like the weirdest thing is it started out awesome. Like I had my honeymoon with Laura, and then
new decade.
Yeah, and then we had our tour was awesome. Yeah. And then right after literally last day of tour, it was like, nah, fuck you.
It's like, nah, man. Nah,
anyway.
No, it's just, I did 4 days in Yosemite, and like there's not any reception there. So you're just forced to be completely removed from the news cycle and from everything. And it's like the most amazing feeling in the world. Except coming back, I could just like, the closer I got to home, I could feel stress building in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to get on my computer and look at work emails, and I'm going to see news, and like it's going to be like an asteroid hit LA or something, or I don't know.
You missed quite a bit this weekend too, so good luck
I'm sure
catching up. Should we get into it? Should we do music picks? This is a shorty today.
Yeah, we're doing a shorty. So let's do music picks. Who's starting it?
Owen, you want to go first?
Sure. So my first pick is something that kind of I thought of based on all of the racial protests and tension that's been going on, even though it predates that. I was thinking of Gary Clark Jr.'s This Land.
Solid pick.
Fun fact, that was my music pick a few months ago.
Oh, was it? Well, we're doing it again.
We're doing it again.
Yeah, just because it's an awesome song, and it's it's a burst of, rage from a marginalized group of people. Just even when you become successful and win Grammys, like there's still people who just think you don't belong.
Yeah.
And also that Grammy performance with The Roots is like amazing. So watch that.
Yeah.
Which is so weird. That was in February.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
That feels like a lifetime ago.
10 years ago.
Wild.
The other thing is I'm going to get there in a weird way. Something a lot of people don't know about me probably is I did MMA for a long time, and I'm still a fan. I still watch it. One of my favorite fighters is Amanda Nunez. She's easily hands down the greatest female MMA fighter of all time. Also first openly gay champion.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, yeah, so she just got picked up. She's in a bunch of Modelo commercials. And it's really cool to see. You never see MMA fighters in any commercials, let alone female MMA fighters. So it was just weird. I was like, cool. And the track they use is from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Okay.
And so when I just got back from Yosemite for 4 days, and I hadn't heard any music the whole time because there's no way to play music. And that, for some reason, that track just like popped into my head while I was driving home. I was just thinking about it. I think just because I'd thought of the commercial. And I got home and I find out Ennio Morricone, who wrote that, just died today.
Yeah, I know.
So
R.I.P.
That's my second pick. I'm just going to go with that thing that was stuck in my head.
That thing.
It's Ecstasy of Gold from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. R.I.P.
He's awesome. He is so good. Fuck you 2020. I'll go next. I got some love songs.
Let me guess,
Some
is it
love
Bossa
songs.
Nova?
It is. I've been
Oh my God.
I've been deep diving into Bossa Nova over the last month or so, but specifically over the last few weeks, and the guitar in Bossa Nova, and it's a total, you know, and I listen to a lot of different genres of music, but it's a total mind fuck. I mean, it's like they have a constant downbeat with your thumb in the guitar. So if you're doing like cat cat cat, you have to go cat cat, and like the beats have to like line up on off rhythms and on the offbeat right after one another. If you're doing like an eighth note version, and it's totally a mindfuck. But when I was in on my tour this last God, how long ago was it? December. I played one of my favorite venues in the world in this little town called Wiestak. And Ollie, the owner of the club, owns this club that kind of, we talked about it before. It feels like you're in some kind of like really curated museum of awesome, I guess is the best way to put it. And after I got off stage, he hands me an old fashioned and had this record playing that has now become one of my favorite records. It's called Domingo. It's from the late 60s. And it's Gal Costa and Caetano Veloso. Caetano Veloso's a pretty well-known writer, and Gal Costa's a Brazilian singer. And that kind of informed me to jump in and inform myself on Bossa Nova. And so I watched a few documentaries and stuff, but give it a listen, especially if you're having like, if you want an album to like cook to or to dance to. It's super romantic. It has that, you know how like there's certain genres from the 60s that like old Italian 60s music that takes you to this like romantic place where you're just like riding a Vespa on the seaside or something, you know, it's like that. So that one's awesome. My second pick is an artist, Lassa de Sela. And the song's Pa Llegar a Tu Lado. And I covered it in my recent show on women that have inspired me over the years, and she's an amazing force. She passed away right when I found out who she was, but I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, how was that singing like, that other language?
You know, I've always found, and I think it's just because I did a lot of choir.
Yeah.
And so you take diction and you learn language that way. It's so much easier to sing other languages than it is to speak it, because you aren't basing the syllables necessarily on the way you would say it. Mm-hmm. But learning it was hard because she speaks it in a way that kind of sometimes she will like mash words together, and we do the same thing, but it's just, so one time she would do it that way and the next time she'd do it the more spoken way. And so it's like learning the song phonetically versus learning it from a like language perspective. But it was really amazing to dive into that song and learn what it was about, and kind of research it from the place of, you know, if you look something up on Google Translate, it's not just telling you, it's just telling you the direct translation, but understanding the meaning behind that and the phrasing of, you know, what this sentence structure actually means when you put these words together was really fun. And my last pick is Joni Mitchell, Both Sides Now, because it's an amazing song, and that I spent 2 weeks writing an arrangement of that song, because it's a lot to dive into, but she's an amazing songwriter. So there you go. That's my stuff.
I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
My first music pick is Moses Sumney's new record, Gray. GR, and then the AE symbol.
Do you have a song on it?
I do have a song.
Cool.
The song on it is Keeps Me Alive. It's interesting. It's like it's kind of free flowing, but there is also a structure, and it's very mellow, and it very much showcases his voice.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting. The whole record is very interesting.
I heard you listening to that this morning. It's really beautiful.
I recommend it. My second pick is Sufjan, who has a new record coming out. It's called The Ascension. That's the name of the record. And he's only released one single off of it so far, so that's my pick. And it's called America. And it's interesting. It's not like Carrie and Lowell.
It's more
style.
Age of Ads. It's like that kind of him going back into the electronic sound a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, I love Sufjan. He can basically do no wrong in my eyes. So.
Yeah. All right.
Those are my picks.
Yeah.
So my music picks, I actually have a bunch of them. So the first one is this artist I heard in just like a random playlist, and we thought it was someone like doing new 70s funk, but it was actually an artist from the 70s I've never heard of called Betty Davis. And Betty Davis I'd never heard of, but apparently she was married to Miles Davis and whatnot, and she had 3 or 4 albums throughout the 70s.
Hence the Davis?
Yeah, hence the Davis. But she was only married to him briefly, though. So
I would totally keep the last name if I married Miles Davis.
If it was Miles
Sounds
Davis,
like
yeah, you gotta
she was married just long enough.
Right.
Get that last name, get some royalties.
Probably get some royalties, yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
But the song is called If I'm in Luck, I Might Get Picked Up. And it's the first track from her like debut self-titled album, Betty Davis. So check that out.
Sounds good.
The second artist is very interesting. It's this Sudanese artist. It's like Sudanese funk, if that makes any sense. His name's Kamal Keila, Keila. But this album, it's interesting. Like half of it's in English, half of it's in Arabic, I guess is what they speak in Sudan. But it's called Agricultural Revolution. So it's they call it like Habibi funk. That's what I keep saying all over the albums. Like, this is Habibi funk. So
that's cool.
I don't, but
cannot wait to check that out.
It's super interesting. I've never heard like funk or jazz like from that region before. So that was kind of cool.
I mean, you've only heard rap from that region.
Exactly. Bangs.
Bangs, the number one
you mean
rapper.
Your boy Bangs.
Your boy Bangs. Exactly.
Check him out. He's my fave.
And then my third pick, I kind of added this on last minute because I was just thinking about it. It's Ben Folds put out a new single called 2020. And it's basically,
what's it about?
It's very dated to our time, but it's basically a song about how we've taken all these other horrible parts in time and combined it into 2020. So like, what's going to be next? You know, because we had a pandemic in the 1900s, and then like, you know, racial things and stuff like, so all these like, what's going to happen next? And it's like basically how 2020 sucks and whatnot, but in a way that, you know, Ben Folds knows how to do it. So
yeah,
that's a good one.
Instant classic, I'm sure.
It's true.
And the last two, I'll just do quickly. Haim. I say it wrong every time.
I think it's Haim.
Haim. I don't know. Haim. I don't know. Question mark. But they came out with a new album. And I'll pick the first track called Los Angeles, and it's a little stripped back from what they usually do. It's not as electronic or not as produced maybe this time around. It's a little more basic, so that's kind of interesting. And then my last pick is from Protest the Hero, put out a new album. I love them. I know Owen does too.
It's sick.
It's like a concept album, like about America, even though they're Canadian.
It's fine. They can have thoughts on America.
Exactly, they can have thoughts on America.
Everyone does.
But
I have thoughts on America.
The first track's called "The Migrant Mother," so I'll pick that, and that's
all right,
basically. So yeah,
sweet.
Jump in those genres.
Jump in those genres.
Genres.
Oh God.
Today's pod is a quickie, but we did think we could do a lightning round of recipes. We're going to start sharing recipes, COVID recipe book, if you will. So, Owen, do you want to start?
The
Do you
first
have a
installments
favorite?
of the Family Crest.
God,
Yeah.
recipes. Well, my girlfriend's Chinese American and they love Spam. That's like
Oh,
a big
yeah.
thing in the Chinese American culture. So she keeps requesting Spam.
Spam's good.
So I was cooking Spam, Spam and rice and eggs for breakfast, things like that. And George started smelling the Spam, and now he's cooking Spam every day. It's just like
I
there's so
have
much
some
Spam
great
in the
Spam
house.
recipes
No.
for you, actually, Owen, if you want them. Because my grandma used to cook
Send them over.
tons of Spam. There's some good Spam soup, actually, that my mom used to
Ooh.
make. It's awesome.
I'd be interested
yeah, I'm
in that.
down.
Well, actually, I mean, I couldn't cook it. My girlfriend's vegetarian, so I can't have that stuff. But
Spam?
Sure,
I'm
well,
here.
she's out of the house or something,
Which is
some quick
Spam
Spam.
gets such a bad
never
rap.
because it's a pandemic.
That's true. Spam gets such a bad rap.
It
Like
does. but
I feel
it's
like
delightful.
Spam is something
It
that's
is
like
gross.
yeah, but it's something
It's
that
good.
like
Yeah, but it's good.
if you eat it in with the exact right amount of it and see, because it's something that you can easily eat just a little too much of, and then it's too much Spam. But if
It's
you have
salty,
just
too.
just the right
Yeah.
amount, it's kind of like liverwurst. I
Yeah,
know most
yeah.
people don't like it, but for me, it's
Exactly.
like if you eat too big of a bite of liverwurst, it's too much. But if you like mix it up with some like relish and good bread, it's awesome.
Nice.
Anyway,
All right.
Right.
So that's mine. Just use some Spam.
Do
Spam,
stuff with spam.
Moco Loco,
Moco
Loco
Moco.
Loco Moco.
Moco Moco.
The
or Moco Loco. It's
recipe-
one of them.
The recipe I will contribute is, just fair warning to everyone. I don't really cook, so all of the recipes I will be sharing are all desserts.
That's great.
But mine is a crumble recipe. It's the easiest thing. You really can't mess it up. And
And
it
it's
tastes
so
delicious, and it takes
damn
no time to
good.
make. And it's like no frills, none of the like pastry finickiness. You just make it with your hands, and it's super simple, and you can make it with any kind of fruit. It's awesome.
It's such a crowd pleaser too. I mean, like I've never watched Laura make it, and I've always assumed that it just took so much effort to do it because it tastes so damn good.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to learn to do this. Let's just do it together. And she showed me, and I'm like, wait, that really? It's awesome. You can't fuck it up.
Sometimes the simplest things are the easiest.
Yeah.
Well, wait.
Want to try that one again?
Can you tell I'm tired?
Sometimes the simplest things are the best.
Sometimes the simplest things taste the best.
Yeah, there you
Sometimes
go.
you just need butter and sugar.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
True.
I've been doing a ton of cooking, which has actually been quite nice because I used to cook a lot and then life took over and we were busy. And so, but it's nice to know what you're putting in your body to an extent. And, I'll eventually share the pizza dough recipes and stuff. But the two things that I'm going to share, I've gotten really into making ice cream recently. And I've been trying to kind of get a flavor going for each one of my friends, like seeing, like what it would be.
John's would be chocolate peanut butter.
Yeah.
Owen's would be
Yeah.
nothing because he hates dessert.
Well, if I was going to make Owen an ice cream, it would be a whiskey based ice cream. It would basically taste like a really good cocktail
I'll try.
in ice cream form.
I'll try.
Okay.
But I got it's interesting when you're jumping into ice cream because you have to learn about something that the consistency is great by itself. When you put it into ice cream and freeze it, obviously it's going to be different. So you can't just put fudge into ice cream. You have to make a ganache if you want like a chewy,
Yeah.
non-hardened thing, or peanut butter.
Fudge
You
turns
have to
into concrete.
Yeah, you have to put like I made my own mix for peanut butter that worked really well, but I've been using Jenny's ice cream's recipe and then I doctored it a little bit. I know that's
Because
sacrilege.
he can't ever not change a recipe.
Tom
for the
Colicchio,
record.
in the words of Tom Colicchio, a recipe is just a guide.
Yeah.
It is. It's
100%.
not. You're not supposed to just. You can, but I mean, like everyone has a different set of taste buds.
Yeah.
Like you like things salty as hell. You do.
I think
It's
it's
true.
fine to change. Just when people don't cook the recipe and then leave negative reviews, that pisses me off.
Yeah,
And they're
I
like,
agree.
they're like, I didn't use any shrimp. I used this instead. And I cut all of the stock. And instead of this, I used rice. And it tasted bad. So 1 star. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
Well, I'll put up some of my ice cream recipes and I'll put up my base because it's pretty easy to make and I've learned a few tricks. But the big thing that I've been getting into, we're big fans of Top Chef, and there's a chef on there, Melissa King.
From San Francisco.
She is unbelievably talented.
She's
and
king of everything.
all of her food looks so ridiculously beautiful. It's stunning. But as I was watching this, Laura found a recipe of hers for Kung Pao beef, and it's pretty easy to make. And we think that it's not super spicy, so I think that she maybe made it for everybody. You know what I mean? But it's really, really good. So I'll share that. I fangirled a little because I commented on the Insta, and she wrote back, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. But in doing that, I grew up with not a ton of access to Chinese culture besides through family events. And so I didn't really, and my grandparents, I'm 5th generation Chinese American, so their style of cooking wasn't traditional Chinese necessarily. I think a lot of Asian Americans that have been here for a while have gone through like that big change up of just, you use what's available and you incorporate American ideas and stuff and European ideas. So
ingredients.
Yeah. And so I've just been like on this like deep dive of like browsing and looking at different recipes. And I'm on a quest to make char siu bao. And I've made 4 different bao dough. If you don't know what that is, it's it's the Chinese version of
it's a steamed pork bun.
The pocket, the bread with the meat inside, steamed pork bun. And I've tried 4 different recipes, and each one of them left me, each one was close, but like the one that I just did, the texture is exactly right. If you time it right, it's very finicky, but the sweetness of bao just isn't coming through. So if you have any good recipes, if you're a Chinese American, or if you're not a Chinese American, you just happen to have really, really good recipe for me, send it my way. You can just get in my DMs for that bao.
We'll post a link to Melissa King's recipe.
Bao seems hard.
It's not. It really. No, I went. Well, okay. It depends. If you're trying to make it the traditional Chinese way, it's like chemistry, because they're using all sorts of agents to make things happen. But that's only because they don't have, like, here we have certain things that are already like mixed into our flours and things like that. So it's actually, if you're doing the standard recipe and you have the first time I did it, I did some hand kneading because I want to know what it's like, but ever since then I've been using our KitchenAid. And if you have a mixer, you just put the ingredients in and stir it. And then you just have to let it rise and let it, what's the word? Starts with the P. Proof. And the timing, the timing's really important, but even like everything else is actually pretty simple. But in that quest, I'm still not there yet. So if you have any recipes, send them my way, and I will totally make a little video of me making it, and we'll see how it turns out. But in that, all I'm totally obsessed with, I just really want to get like a decent Chinese vegetable cleaver.
I have a huge like 5-pound Chinese cleaver. It's the shit.
Is it a veggie or a bone? Because I have a really amazing old bone cleaver from my grandma.
You can use this for either. Really, just got to keep it sharp no matter what. I mean,
yeah, I want to get one of these ones that's basically like the thickness of like a standard like baking scrape. Just because as I was watching these chefs use it, I was just kind of like, this is the most multi-purpose knife you can get. You can use it as a bench scraper. You can use it to smash things. You can use it, if you flip it around, you can use it to like break bones. I mean, I'm all about having one knife for everything. So if you guys have any recommendations for some Chinese cleavers, let me know. Cause I don't want to spend a bunch of money on like a shun when I can just get something that is like, a workhorse that I can keep sharp.
We were watching, this is slightly a tangent, but it is related. We were watching Taste the Nation, which is Padma Lakshmi's new show on Hulu. Super good if you haven't seen it. And there's a whole episode dedicated to Chinese cuisine, Chinese American cuisine. And there's actually, we found out one of the chefs, actually all of the chefs that were interviewed on that are from San Francisco. Yeah. And one of them, Brandon Jew, is he runs a couple restaurants in the city, and he highlighted a farm that's in Bolinas, which is this tiny little town across the bay. Laura's obsessed with it. That I love. And his farm, he has all of these like kind of ancient, very rare Chinese crops that he grows out there. So the food that you have when you eat like Brandon Chu's food from his restaurants is like very, very authentic, but it's kind of it's like American also. It's really
he's also Hapa, and he looks like
the farmer is.
Yeah, the farmer, and he looks like the
Chu.
perfect mix of like two cultures. I mean, it's really, really cool to like watch. If you haven't seen the show, 3 reasons to watch it. You learn a lot about what makes America America through food. And just in general, because it goes into like, you know, there's so many people that don't seem to like Hispanic people, but love the food, you know, and they go into this kind of thing. But also, I mean, I'm not going to lie, you know, Padma Lakshmi eating food is actually
Liam loves
she's a bad man. Like they even Laura said they over amped it on like the sexuality of her eating.
Yeah. She's an executive producer though, so she's on board.
Oh no, I'm not complaining. It's awesome, but watch the show. It's really, really, really good. Yeah.
Anyway, John hasn't told us what his recipe is.
Mine's kind of a joke, but it's so I'm not very good at cooking. I've kind of been doing it lately, like during the pandemic. I'm getting better, like in creating some stuff and whatnot. And you know, my girlfriend doesn't like to cook at all, so I cook dinner and whatnot. And there was one thing, like most of the time she's like, oh, that was pretty good, and like compliments me and stuff. I'm like, oh, sweet, thank you. And then but a lot of times she just wants like boxed mac and cheese, like Annie's boxed mac and cheese. So, you know, do that like once a week or whatever. And like
I thought you were going to give the recipe for Annie's boxed mac and cheese for a minute. I was
close. I kind of am.
Oh,
kind of am. But but anyway, so like one night she's like, I'm going to make it. And I'm like, why? It's like, you're going to make it. And she's like, you don't do it right. Like, what do you mean, what do I don't do it right? She's like, because it's like, you know, it's like, it's not buttery enough. It's blah, blah, blah. It's not good enough. I'm like, I'm just doing what the box says, you know? And I realized that the way she wants it, she's like, here's, let me, you know, I'm going to make it. So she makes it. And instead, usually with the boxed mac and cheese, you put, you have the cheese powder and then you mix that with like milk and butter. Right. But so that's what I was doing. But no, for her, it's just a bunch of butter, like this much butter mixed with the cheese powder and no milk. So it's just butter cheese.
Bravo,
and then I had it, and then I had it. I'm like, God, it's like ridiculous. It just tastes like all butter, but I'm like, okay, fine, it's good. But
you know, John, I'll send you, and I'll put it up. I'll send you. Ina Garten makes a ridiculous. I call it adult mac and cheese because it's fancy mac. I've made it for you before. It's fancy mac and cheese. It's dumb. It's not that hard. And it'll blow your brains out. It's super good.
There you go, the Family Crest. Family meals.
One final tip for anyone who's making stuff that needs to rise, like bao or bread or whatever. Proving at home can be hard, especially in San Francisco where it's a little bit chillier than a lot of places, because really you want like 80 and humid. My pro tip is prove it in the oven with the oven off.
Yep.
And put a bowl of boiling water or very hot water next to it. Don't put it under the thing or it'll overheat it. But if you put it next to it, it'll make it warm and humid in there, and it should keep it right about where
That's smart. I've heard to do it with a pan, and I did it with a pan once, but it was the same thing. Like they suggested putting it under it, and I'm like,
if you put it under it. So I have an infrared thermometers. I can get really nerdy and like look at the temperatures of everything with my infrared thermometer. And if I put hot water under it, the bowl gets up to like 100 and it actually starts to cook it.
Could you put it on the?
Put it
I guess you could put it
even above it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just want it to be a little warm and humid in there.
Humid. So that's really smart. Good tip. Pro tip.
A pro tip from Owen.
Pro tip from Owen.
All right. Well, there you go. Your meal plan is done for the week, everyone.
All right. And we'll throw those recipes up for you. And we'll be back next week with, or 2 weeks?
In a couple
weeks.
2 weeks. With hopefully the world has not ended. And hopefully that the aliens have not come down. Or hopefully they have.
Maybe it'll be good at this point.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, maybe they're coming to save us.
Knock on wood, we're all still here. All right. Love y'all.
Love y'all. We'll see you next time.
Bye.